Hey everyone, this is Jacqueline from She Rises Studios, and welcome to today's author celebration. Today we celebrate The Lie is Loud, Silence the Noise, Step into Who You Are by Monica Connolly, a powerful trauma informed guide for women ready to move beyond burnout, self doubt, and survival mode. And this message is already making a significant impact, being an Amazon US bestseller across 9 categories, including stress management, mental health, psychological pathologies, and top ranking across self help, counseling, and psychology and mental illness. Clearly, this is a message women is resonating with. So please join me in celebrating Monica Connolly. Hi, Monica. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today and to talk about this awesome book. But to start us off here, for those that don't know you yet, can you let us know who you are, what you do, and what inspired you to write The Lie is Loud?
Yeah, absolutely. Monica Connolly, and I am a holistic health and wellness coach. I am a master life coach, and I am a trauma informed coach. And I was the book is written, it's my story of who I used to be.
Hmm.
And so many women find themselves, their story may not be exactly the same as mine, but they find themselves in those same places with those same thoughts. And I love to write. I used to write all the time. As I got to be an adult, it's something that I kind of put to the side. And I reached a point in my life, I remembered how writing was so cathartic and so healing, and started writing. Did not have an intention to write a book at all, but started writing, couldn't stop, and designed it into a book that can also be a step-by-step guide for other
Hmm.
women who had the same feelings as I did, to help walk them through that process.
That's wonderful. Now, the title alone is very interesting already. Because usually when you lie, you try to keep it very minimal, but you're saying the lie is loud. What are
Right.
the most common lies that women tell about themselves?
Yeah. So I think we find that, we all have that little voice that we hear, and that voice can be
Mhm.
very, very loud. And it usually is not something very nice. It tells us that we're not worthy, or that
Mhm.
we aren't enough, that we can't be successful. And that can be very, very loud. It can overpower everything else in your life. It can overpower the words that other people are pouring into you. And so that lie can become very, very loud. And we have to identify those lies that we're
Mhm.
hearing, and that we've learned, whether those have been spoken over us or we have grown up believing. We have to determine what those lies are and what we actually want to believe. What is the story that we're going to take forward?
I love that. And that's because, and sometimes these lies that we constantly hear about ourselves are not even the lies that we tell ourselves. It's sometimes it's told to us,
Yeah.
and we start believing it to be true,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
it's really common for that to happen. And so many times it's something that somebody may not have intentionally, they didn't do it intentionally, they didn't do it maliciously. Maybe it was a comment about the way you looked, or maybe it was a comment about your body, or how your something about your work. And for some reason your body just picked up on that and was like, "Oh, I must not be pretty enough. I must not be worthy enough. I must not be working hard enough." Even though that's not actually what was said to you, your brain will interpret it that way.
And I would imagine that these lies become pressure
Oh, yeah.
to our everyday living. And Do you think that this is part of the exhaustion that we feel that,
Oh,
compounds
absolutely.
over time?
Oh, yeah. If you think about, women especially are supposed to maintain the house. They're supposed to raise the kids. They're supposed to have a full-time job. They're supposed to be attending the PTA meetings and volunteering here and
Mhm.
doing this with church and all of these things. And so many women walk around with a mask of happiness. They smile and they say that they're fine, but internally they are exhausted, they're overwhelmed, they can't make a decision for themselves because there's so much decision fatigue because they're deciding everything for everyone else.
And these decision fatigue, is this similar to what you call the chronic stress?
Yeah, it definitely can be associated with chronic stress. If you're the one who is making the decisions about
Mhm.
everything in all of your relationships and always trying to fixing the problem before anybody sees it, making sure everything's taken care of, you're making decisions, hundreds and thousands of decisions a day for everyone else. But if someone were to ask you, hey, let's go to dinner tonight, where do you want to go? You may be like, I absolutely have no idea. I can't think far enough to figure that out because you're so exhausted from making decisions for everybody else and taking care of everything else for everybody.
And that's true. And sometimes even those little things is already a burden to
Yeah.
decide on, right?
Yep.
What do you think is a practical step when someone has already, and I'm sure, you already mentioned that the first step is recognizing that these are lies that causes us stress and fatigue. And what is a practical step that someone can take right now to start alleviating that stress or, you know, redesigning and removing that lie in their head?
Right. So there's a couple of things. Really deciding that you're going to set some boundaries. You are going to allow other people to own things that they can own. Your children can own things around the house. Your spouse can own things around the house. You don't have to be responsible for everything. It is a household. It's not just your house, and everyone needs to take some responsibility there. So setting up some boundaries, saying no when you need to say no. If your plate is
Hmm.
full and you're being asked, "Hey, can you do this for me?" and you're already feeling overwhelmed, it is okay to say no. And no is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain why. But using some nervous system techniques also to help calm your nervous system. So something as simple as your favorite essential oil in the palm of your hand, breathing that while you do something like box breathing, where you breathe in for a count of four, hold for a count of
Hmm.
four, release for a count of four, and hold at the bottom for a count of four. That can help regulate your nervous system and kind of bring you back to the present moment.
I love that. And you mentioned that in a household, the woman doesn't have to manage everything. And a lot of times our kids think that, we need to know where their socks are every time, right?
Yep.
And and I think even those little decisions, y- we should be able to delegate them. I love that. And I love that you are giving us permission to taking a deep breath, relaxing, taking that pause
Yeah.
is something that we don't have to feel guilty about.
Exactly. Yeah.
A lot of women sometimes feel like, I don't think I can sit down because
Oh,
there's so
yeah.
much
There's so much to
guilt.
do. There's so many things I
Right.
need to take care of. Mine was so bad that I actually went years without a haircut because it meant having somebody watch my kids while I went to go get a haircut. And I
Right.
didn't want to impose on anyone for something like that while I took care of myself. So don't let
That-
it get to that point.
That's true. That's true. Now, you mentioned sustainability confidence in your book, and I'm not sure that's sustainable. It's a word that we commonly use right now, but
Right.
it's in energy, but not in confidence. What does that mean in everyday life?
Your confidence is something that as you set ground rules, as you set your values, as you learn what your purpose is, your confidence grows. And
Mm,
really being able to, you know, so many times we go, oh, I want to make all these changes. I want to make all these improvements. And we bite off 10 things and we don't have the capacity to maintain those 10 things. And then when we can't maintain it, we lose confidence in ourselves
mm,
because we're like, oh, see, look, I failed again. Well, it's because you bit off more than you can chew. So take
mm.
little tiny baby steps. And, those little tiny baby steps over time, those will become things that are sustainable. Rather, that is, taking 5 minutes every day to meditate or journal or go put your feet in the dirt because that's really good
Mm.
for you. It's doing those little things every day consistently, and you start to trust yourself again. And in that, you will see that your confidence rises. And every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you honor yourself, you honor a boundary or you honor time for yourself, you are going to feel that confidence going up because you're relearning to trust yourself.
That's wonderful. Very well said. Now, for someone watching today who feels overwhelmed or lost or stuck in all of these lies, what would you want her to hear right now?
You are not alone. And I know it feels like that. It feels like everybody else has their stuff together and like you are barely keeping your head above water. But so many other women feel exactly like you do. And the minute that you ask for help, you are giving those other women permission to do the same thing. They will see you do that, and then they know it's okay for them to do it. So, you taking one tiny little step is giving permission to your daughters, your mothers, your grandmothers, your nieces, all of the other women that are impacted in your life. It's a ripple effect, and you're giving them permission to do the same thing and to come out of that overwhelmed state.
That's wonderful. And if someone is ready to reach out to you, get help, and talk to you more about this, how can they reach out to you?
Absolutely. My website, you can get a hold of me there. It's monicaconnollycoaching.com. You can also find me on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm on the majority of them, and you can message me through those platforms as well.
Well, Monica, thank you so much for giving women permission to slow down, take a deep breath, listen inward, and choose clarity over chaos. The Lie is Loud is more than a book, it's a reset, a reminder that healing doesn't come from pushing harder, but from reconnecting with our body, our truth, our identity beyond the noise. So, to every woman who have been carrying too much, holding it together, at least trying, and quietly feeling overwhelmed, this book is for you. The Lie is Loud is now available on Amazon. Be sure to grab a copy today and begin that journey back to clarity, confidence, and self trust. Monica, thank you again for joining me today. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
You